There's 1.3 million tonnes of this treated wastewater on the Fukushima nuclear power plant site. And one of the issues is that the operators and those who are conducting the cleanup operation, the massive cleanup operation, they're simply running out of room. This water is being used to keep the melted nuclear reactors cool. There's also groundwater that adds to the problem and rain that adds to the problem. So they've been accumulating all this water, about 500 Olympic-sized swimming pools amount of water over more than a decade now, and it has to go somewhere. They're running out of room, and also they need to start the next phase of the cleanup. And the plant's operators are saying they need to make some room for the next phase of the cleanup where they'll start addressing the melted nuclear reactors I just mentioned. So we know that deadline is next year, and they've been saying this year all along they're going to be releasing the water, start releasing the water, I should say, in summer. Well, we're approaching the end of summer now. So this month or maybe next month does seem likely. That's what media reports are saying. There have been delays before, but what's really happened recently is it's cleared two hurdles to start the release. One is that Japan's top authority is given the green light to start releasing the water. But importantly, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the UN nuclear watchdog, has finished its 2-year review into the process and effectively given the green light as well, saying that it does fall within international norms, this plan, and that it would have a really minimal, really low impact on the environment, really a safe, negligible impact on the environment. So with those two hurdles cleared now, Japan really will go through this process we expect in coming weeks.
Yeah. And, you talk about those hurdles, those sort of hurdles that they wanted to cross to sort of demonstrate that the water was now safe. But despite that, there are still a lot of people that are quite unhappy with this idea.
Well, certainly starting off with fishermen, for instance, and from the community perspective, there are mixed views in Fukushima. There are people who just want to get on with it now. We've been talking about it for so many years and have just accepted that it's got to happen. But there are other fishermen who are genuinely worried about that the release of this water will contaminate fish or will lead to reputational damage. Even if there is no obvious impact on the fish and measurable impact on the fish, people might just see that this fish is from Fukushima and want to play it extra safe and not touch it. So whether it has a real or a perceived impact is something that local fishermen are worried about. We see the same in South Korea and China and throughout the Pacific. Fishing people are quite anxious about the impact this will have on their fish. But given that we have the IAEA report that has come out, that has won some people over. South Korea, for instance, which was previously opposed to this move, they have accepted that the release does fit within international standards. So they're effectively saying it's okay. They are keeping, though, a ban for now on food from the Fukushima region. But we've seen other countries, the Cook Islands Prime Minister and PIF chairman, Pacific Islands Forum chairman, Mark Cook, has said that he accepts it's not in breach of international treaties. And Fiji has come on recently saying that they think it can go ahead. But meanwhile, we've got China, which is saying absolutely no way. They're not happy with the IAEA's report, and they're going very much against, trying to get momentum against Japan's plans to release the water. And both China and Hong Kong, for instance, are keeping their bans on any food, in fact, expanding their bans on any food that's deemed from around the Fukushima region. Bev.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about the plan for the release, how it's going to happen, and if there are further safeguards in place in case something goes wrong while they are going through this release.
So what Japan said for a while now, and the plant's operators TEPCO, is that, first of all, the water that's being treated goes through a very intense filtration system that removes radionuclides from the water, the contaminants, effectively. There is one key exception, and that's a thing called tritium. Now, tritium is a radioactive form of hydrogen, and it can't be removed from the water. So what they will do, as well as filtering the water of all these contaminants, they dilute it down so that the tritium falls within safe drinking standards. They say 7 times lower than what the World Health Organization says is safe. And it's important to acknowledge that tritium is released from other nuclear plants across the world, from China all the way to Europe. So it's quite a common thing to be released into the water. And they've said that only that water that is checked by an independent third party will be released slowly. But this is a 3 to 4 decade process. They're not just going to pump the 1.3 million tonnes of water within a few weeks or months. This is 30 to 40 years. And the IAEA has said they'll be there for the whole process to keep tabs on this process. They've accepted the plans for now, but they've assured people in the Indo-Pacific that they'll be there watching and scrutinising this every step of the way, Bev.
Yeah. So, of course, it'll start happening. It'll hopefully, a lot of this is about perception, James, the fact that, it's nuclear waste from one of the worst ever nuclear disasters. So a lot of it is just trying to let it happen slowly and reassure people as they go.
Well, one of the things as well, with the water actually being pumped out, as I mentioned, you can't remove tritium from the water. It's a thing called tritiated water. It's quite common from nuclear power plants. It'll be diluted to those safe levels, and then it will be pumped out. There's a pipe that's about 2 kilometres out, and it will slowly be released. And the plant's operators and those who are behind this release plan are saying that it'll be even diluted where within about 3 kilometres from this point in the ocean, you won't even be able to detect the tritium. So they're really trying to emphasise that this will be fine. But of course, at the same time, given that it's taken so long to get to this point, surely they'll be crossing their T's and dotting their I's to make sure there are no mishaps early on in this process, given the reputational damage that people are so fearful of.
Indeed. Good to talk, James. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Bev.